everybody. Welcome to the Better Buzz. This is Lee Gall here and Dave Briggs. And today we have the absolute pleasure of welcoming Peter Barsoom, the CEO of 1906. I know you guys have heard us talk about the brand a lot, and you've even heard some plugs from John Halper at Top 10 Liquors. And we are absolutely thrilled to have the man himself here with us today to answer questions and tell us more about the journey and all of the offerings that 1906 has. So welcome, Peter. Thanks for being here today.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Thank Lee. Thanks for doing this. What you guys are doing to destigmatize cannabis and bring this to the forefront is amazing. So I am thrilled to be a part of that journey.
Well, you're doing the hard work. We're just doing the easy work. And let me show you how easy 1906 is. I got a little seltzer here, a little passion seltzer, and boom, I'm just going to throw 5 milligrams in it. Just like that. That is their new product, Off Duty. We'll get to your spirit in just a minute. But these things seem to have changed the game. How successful have they been for you?
Phenomenal. Beverages has always been something we've been very interested in. Like going back to 2018, 2019, we had spent a lot of time on beverage development. This is before hemp derived THC was a thing. COVID hit, we put it on hold, thank God, because of the complexity of the market. So I'm so glad we didn't launch beverages then. But now we launched Off Duty earlier this year, and then that created the pathway for launching spirits. For me, if you think about beverages, we have 3 legal intoxicants: caffeine, alcohol, and nicotine. 2 out of those 3 are taken in a liquid format. So as humans, we are used to consuming psychoactive substances in a liquid format. So it's natural to think that cannabis in a liquid format would be something that consumers would adopt. And we've seen that with the success of companies like Can and Cycling Frog and Breeze in the canned beverage space. Um, I'm not a canned beverage guy in general. I don't drink beer. I don't drink hard seltzers. I'm a New Yorker. I'm much more of a wine and cocktail person, and I'm out at social events and functions many nights during the week. A can doesn't solve the issues of social drinking that I and many of us have, right? I can't bring a can out to a restaurant. I don't necessarily want to blatantly advertise that I'm drinking a THC beverage. And so we saw a big gap in the marketplace. Like if you're a social drinker or you don't want to be tied to a particular flavor or a particular sugar or a particular dose, you're kind of shit out of luck with the canned beverage space. So it solves an important consumer need, just not the one that works for me and many others like me. And so that's why we launched Off Duty first, which is portable, discreet, take it anywhere. Nobody needs to know what it is that you are drinking. It's flavorless. It's no sugar. It's no calories. Fits into your pocket, and it's a total game changer. Like this is my man purse, and my man purse.
Man purse.
Yeah, my man purse is full of 1906 pouches and Off Duty. So this is my.
Hold on, is that all that's in there?
No wallet. Just
Okay.
There's my wallet as well.
Okay. You have identity. Well, I love it
Yes,
because
I have identity.
I mean, you represent so much of what we are seeing, and I'll mention them later. But there is a collective of moms here in the Dallas area that have a purse just like yours, full of all of your offerings, and it's how people are living life, and you guys have made it so unbelievably easy to take these with you on the go. And of course, we'll get into it, but all the different occasions, like you guys have answered so many problems as a brand. And I think it's absolutely amazing.
Thank
So
you, Lee. Yeah.
you mentioned that, I think this is a great segue because you mentioned the Off Duty. And of course you said that you are a spirit and wine drinker yourself. would you like to tell, whoever's watching about your most recent big news?
Yeah. So last Friday, actually, we launched the 1906 Spirits bottle. Um, Based upon the success of Off Duty, we realized like, yep, people want to be able to mix their own drinks and cocktails, and also the opportunity for on premise meant that what was missing in the market is what we call the vodka of cannabis. Like vodka is a universal, and it mixes with so many different things. As we looked at the space of the THC spirits, which has been pioneered by Nowadays and Breeze, what we found that consumers were looking for that others weren't supplying is something that was, number one, neutral flavored. Many of those products are very heavily flavored, and that's great if you like that flavor and you want to go for a spritz or whatever. That's perfect, but there's a whole big market out there, people where I want to mix it into a Moscow Mule or a Cosmopolitan without the alcohol, or just have that versatility. And so that was what was missing. So that was the first thing. The second thing is the flexibility on dosage. And so this is the highest potency at 200 milligrams of THC spirit out there. The third thing is, for a lot of people, THC induces anxiety, paranoia, or some negative side effects, especially, at higher doses. But for a lot of people, it doesn't work on its own. And we know this from our own experience of being 10 years in the market. That's why all of our products are formulated with other cannabinoids and other dietary supplements, so it gives you a much better quality high and experience. And so this is the first beverage spirit that's formulated with THC and CBG. CBG is the mother of all cannabinoids, and it gives you that uplifting social buzz, reduces that anxiety. So it matches much more why people drink. I want my social anxiety to be reduced. I want to be uplifted. And so we tried to create something that is as close to a traditional alcohol like vodka that you can get in a beautiful bottle.
I'm
And
glad you mentioned the Moscow Mule. I poured in ginger beer, and it is perfection. Lee and I talked to a lot of people who are still introducing the category to, though. This is 200 milligrams. So give people an example of how they should be drinking this. Should they be pouring one shot and mixing it in a cocktail? And what are the equivalent milligrams?
so a 1.25 ounce shot is 10 milligrams. A 1.5 ounce shot, which is a traditional shot, is 12 milligrams. But you can basically, it gives you control. One of the things that we like to say is 1906 is cannabis for control freaks. I'm a control
Mm-hmm.
freak, particularly when it comes to
Same.
things I put in my body. Like, I don't want to play Russian roulette with anything I put in my body, particularly something that's psychoactive. And as part of that control, I want to know when it's going to hit me, how long it's going to last, and how it's going to make me feel. And that's what we've achieved with our whole product line, but especially with this 1906 spirits
You
as
are
well.
speaking my language. Like everything you said is exactly what how I experienced, THC, and partially why I created this channel was to help educate people so that they could have that control and they weren't accidentally consuming something that was beyond, their limits, or, because we do need that component to have an enjoyable experience. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for saying that. Just thank you for all of what you've, created.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Here's to control freaks.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So I want to jump back quickly to these things because I'm curious. For me, this really appeals football stadium. Can I get these on an airplane as well? It seems like that would go through security.
Totally. Totally.
So that is a game changer. That is a place where I think we need hemp THC beverages more than anywhere else. How central do you think that is? Because people are angry on airplanes. They're abusing flight attendants. Isn't this what we need on airplanes?
I mean, wouldn't it be awesome if flight attendants could be like, are you ready
Oh,
to, serve this instead of alcohol? It would make the world it would make flying so much more enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, and
it'd make the world a better place.
Yeah, we
I
should
really believe
actually
that.
imagine. I can't wait for the day where, like, at Newark Airport, at Dallas Airport, you can get a THC drink at the bar while you're waiting for your flight.
amazing. And Dave mentioned football, and there are two main components why I love these drinks for airplanes, events, and parties. We'll just throw them all in together. One is the fact that there is a designated offset, and so often if you're at an airport and you start having a cocktail, then you get on the plane and you're having another cocktail, it only compounds, and so now your the time that the drink takes to wear off just gets longer and longer. But with these, there's an actual designation that from your last consumption, you know that I can still drive home conceivably from that football game or whatever. But then also, like, especially on an airplane, you don't have to use the restroom as much like you do when you're drinking alcohol. And now, and same with football stadiums. I don't want to stand in that obnoxious women's line. So I think there's a lot of upsides to having these drinks among many other reasons, but some fun, like
Yeah.
specific.
Probably snack sales will go up on airplanes.
Yeah, no question. They're going to need a lot more of those bags of peanuts and bags of pretzels and things of that nature. I first discovered you, Peter, with what you just showed us in your man purse earlier. And I'm always curious, what is the difference between sleep and, in particular, love and go? Is it placebo, or is there actual active ingredients that differ these? And when I got on your website this morning to do some shopping, it asked me, are you too stressed, low libido, can't sleep, can't focus, aches and pain? There was no all of the above, because I would be, sorry, but I would check all of the above. So that's why I got the expanded package. But tell me the difference in terms of the ingredients.
That's a good idea. We'll modify the website to have that.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Because that's when you need this.
Yeah. So to take a step back, if I could, I love smoking flower. It's one of the best ways to consume cannabis. And the beauty of smoking flower is that you have a choice of so many different strains, which I love how Jack Herrera makes me feel, or Blue Dream, and we know that the reason why different strains have these different effects is due to the terpene profile, right? However, if you ingest, like, terpenes don't work, and everybody who says their edibles are infused with terpenes, it's just, there's no science behind it. That's not the way our body processes terpenes. So from the beginning, from the first day when we launched the company, it was all about how do you make an edible product that's as close to a flower high as you can get, so that you know how it's going to make you feel. And we're a science-based company. So terpenes work for flower. It's dietary supplements and other plant medicines which work in edibles. And the beauty is we have hundreds, if not hundreds of years of research and experience with many other compounds outside of THC. We know how caffeine works, how L-theanine works, how scaletium works. And so we took the same concept of the entourage effect in flower and applied it to edibles, which is combinations of cannabinoids with other dietary supplements and plant medicines give you a exact experience. So Go has caffeine, L-theanine, theobromine, L-pineagalanga. Caffeine is the best central nervous stimulant known to man. That's why it's, billions of people use it. So that's why Go gives you energy from that stack. Love contains 5 different aphrodisiacs in there that have been used throughout human history to improve libido for men and women. And so each of our different experiences is formulated the same way. It's not about just different cannabinoids, and it's not about kind of just marketing. This is real science. And we've got 10 years of history in the markets with our products.
That's
all
wonderful.
of the above, my friend.
Yeah, I really do. I think that's a great option. And then it goes over to the box. So as you're talking about the different functionalities and go and bliss and love, have you found from, a consumer standpoint that you have a particular demographic that responds, really well to the brand in general, or is it becoming more specific based on that need and that function?
Yeah, what's interesting, it's a great question. I think if we look at how much cannabis has become more mainstream, it has nothing to do with demographics. It's across all different segments, whether it's a retired police officer in Oklahoma to a 92-year-old grandma in Boston, Massachusetts, to a 22-year-old, graduate student at the University of New Mexico. We've been, as humans, we've been using different substances to enhance our performance and to connect. And now people are discovering that cannabis, and particularly cannabis with other plant medicines, can work to meet these needs. If you're in pain, pain knows no demographic. So I think of it, and what we're seeing is it's much more the psychographic profile of consumers. And for 1906, it's people who, number one, you know, have a high need for control. Like I said, we're cannabis for control freaks. If you care about, and you want to know how it's going to make you feel, that's who we're made for. If you're looking not just to get high, but you want to feel a particular way, those are the people that come to 1906. Look, if you want to see purple dragons and get blasted, and great. There are other brands out there that will take you on your purple dragon ride. But if you want to like feel more connected with yourself, feel more in your body, and let the best parts of yourself come out, that's who 1906 is for.
Peter, I have not seen purple dragons. Can you tell me more about this? And have you actually seen them?
Not on cannabis substances.
Ooh, do tell.
No, I haven't seen a purple dragon yet. I'm still looking.
Do you have, because Lee and I have shared stories where everyone had like a bad cannabis experience that they're still trying to
Oh, yeah.
overcome. Most people, I
Yeah.
tell them, like, hey, that was in college when it was a different plant, when we didn't know how to, figure
Yeah.
out our profile and go up to a bud tender and order exactly what you wanted. Mine was falling asleep in an ATM vestibule because I was scared of myself on all the televisions. If you had a story you could share with us?
When we started, we had this idea in early 2015. And so at the time, there were two states that were legal, Washington and Colorado. And so we visited kind of both Washington and then Colorado to see which market it is that we want to open up. And I remember going into a Washington dispensary and I got these chocolates because I wanted to try the edibles. And it was a 10 milligram, supposedly 10 milligram chocolate. We bought a few of them. I took one, an hour later, like felt nothing. And I was like, okay, well, let me take another one. Oh
Hello.
my God.
Yeah,
Can I
yeah,
tell you,
yeah. Yes, please.
where is the off switch? Like I felt so just dumb. Like it was like, my thoughts are going nowhere. Like
Yeah.
it was totally uncomfortable,
And
undesirable. And I was
you're like, it's been 6 hours. And then you're like,
yeah,
oh shit, it's been
yeah,
15 minutes.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. So I remember sitting there with, it was with Aaron, our first employee, and we were just both like, we couldn't really say anything to each other for what seemed like hours, and I was like, this is no wonder a lot of people get turned off on cannabis. If this is how it makes you feel, it would be like,
That's what
no, I
happens.
don't want to feel that way. Yeah,
And that's why you created the brand, right?
yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, we can do better than this. Come on.
We can do better. Yeah. So speaking of an off switch, because we've all wanted that off switch desperately. In terms of onset and offset,
Yeah.
is there a difference in your, in the like in this product versus the liquid form, or do they deliver relatively the same? If you want anybody to, whoever's listening as they're considering their options and they're trying to decide, should I go with a liquid form or, are there any differences?
Look, liquid is always faster. just because of how the body process, like if you eat, whether it be a gummy or our pills or anything, phase one is your digestive system has to break down the components of that for it to release. And we use a lipid microencapsulation process, which bypasses the liver, goes through the intestinal wall, scientifically proven and patented to be one of the most fast acting ways to get cannabis into your system. And what we've seen is, we've got the number one fast acting products in the marketplace across gummies and pills. We will never do a slow acting product, period. So everything we do is fast acting. Nobody knows about fast acting kind of more than we, because we've been doing it for 10 years since day one. What we found is that the liquid is definitely faster than any other format, which is something you would want to have as well, and gives you that control while you're sipping it. You can titrate, and that's one of the issues. Like, look, we love edibles. That's a big part of our business. But you consume the whole thing, and then it's a much faster, like, on or off to on. Whereas a liquid, you can titrate and really control, just like you can control with how you smoke. Okay, I'll take more sips. I'll drink it faster. I'll drink it slower. So that's one of the reasons why I think why, from a psychoactive substance, people consume these things in liquid.
I may have jumped the gun because I'm already feeling my off duty and I still have some work still ahead on this Friday, but it should be all right. A lot of people, Peter, are panicked right now. And I know if you go on LinkedIn, there is this banner that's telling Congress to stop or allow hemp products to continue on. There is the possibility that Congress literally shuts off like a faucet the entire industry. Have you heard much? What's your panic level? I know my friends up at Cornbread in Kentucky feel that as though any day this industry could be stopped. And what would that mean?
Well, no, I'm not panicked. I mean,
Okay.
because number one, prohibition doesn't work, right?
No, no, yeah.
We've been through, how many times as a country have we gone through? It didn't work with alcohol. It didn't work with cannabis. It doesn't work with ibogaine or mushrooms or anything else like that. So prohibition, just doesn't work. The power, we're a democracy, which means power to the people. And what's clear is across all, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we've got to speak up. Why is, like, just like we're a country that's founded on liberty, and so we're consistently facing challenges to restrict our personal liberty. So great, let's speak up and stop this insanity, and stop letting a group of people who are still rooted in the just say no racist war on drugs go away. So
Right. But how, Peter, what would you say then to the primarily right now, Mitch McConnell Republicans, Senate Republicans that are saying, we don't want this unregulated stuff in the hands of kids. And there's this gray area, loophole created by the 2018 Farm Bill. Does there need to be some change and some clarity in what's your message to those specific congressmen that continually talk about this stuff getting in the hands of kids?
yeah, first off, it's true. We don't want this. We don't. That's why we regulate nicotine. That's why we regulate alcohol. We don't want it in the hands of kids. So we can all align on a few key principles. Shouldn't be in the hands of kids. Should be tested, and should be proper labeling. Right? I don't think anybody would disagree with that. So let's start there. That is the reasonable and rational approach here. Now, this is politics. That doesn't mean sensibility reigns. So, all the more reason why we've got to fight. I mean, take a look at what happened in Texas. Thank God the ban failed, and then the governor did the right thing. Let's put out an executive order around this. Did we have to go through all of the shenanigans to get to the same place? Sadly, yes. But it goes to show you the power of consumers. At the end of the day, it's consumers who are voting. It's consumers who are consuming, and let their voices be heard in Washington and every place else. So I'm not worried, and this is just part of the journey and part of the destigmatization. I mean, look, there's still dry counties.
It's funny to
That wild.
Yeah, that is wild. And I mean, in Texas, you still can't buy alcohol. You can't buy liquor on Sundays. Like, just like there's still these antiquated, weird rules. And I do appreciate that you brought up Texas because that's where I live, and myself and many of my friends were freaking out, and people were stockpiling product in fear that there was just going to be a ban, a lot of which, Peter, was 1906, because there's a mom's group here that was buying up all of your inventory in fear that things were going to be shut down. But I think, thank you for the calm response, because that helps me kind of take a sigh of relief. But you are in multiple markets, and you're in the regulated legal market with some products, and you're in the hemp market and others. Can you kind of share with us, what that looks like from your standpoint, and maybe if there's a particular market that performs better, or is it hemp products that are gobbling it up because they don't have the same level of access that you can find in certain, dispensary run states?
Yeah, it's we are one of the few brands that operates in both markets, in the dispensary market as well as in the hemp market, and those are, I would say, two different markets. In the dispensary market, we have higher potency options, and we love dispensaries. Dispensaries play an important role in the customer journey, in the education, and make it accessible. But most Americans don't live within driving proximity to a dispensary. And so, we find our on the hemp side of things, like our most successful markets are places like Texas, Florida, Georgia, for instance, which is why hemp is often called red state cannabis.
It works. I mean, I know some people don't like the term, but I'm like, it's spot on.
So, Peter, I'm looking at your background before this interview, and I'm like, what doesn't make sense here? I mean, Princeton PhD candidate in politics, finance guy, Morgan Stanley, cannabis. Can you tell me about that evolution real quick?
Yeah, look, for me, kind of my journey has all been, about product creation, regulated markets. I Before I started in 1906, I was global head of credit on Wall Street, where it was the transition from an unregulated credit derivatives markets to regulated credit derivatives markets. So I'm somebody who feels very comfortable in a regulated market world. The financial discipline that I learned from finance, and then also kind of understanding consumer needs. And so while definitely product wise, there isn't per se a comparison between what I used to do and what I do today. Uh, I love it because first get to create real products that have real impact on people's lives. But my education and experience in regulated markets has meant that we've been able to navigate effectively across different states and across changing regulations, and being financially nimble and disciplined.
That's awesome. I have to ask, were there any surprises along the way?
I mean, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
like what I know, I'm like, of course there were, but what was kind of one of the biggest, like, oh crap, I'm in cannabis now.
when we first started, Lee, I remember in Colorado, and the feedback kind of early days is nobody wants this, Peter. Nobody cares about fast acting. Nobody cares about feeling a particular way, and nobody's going to pay a premium price. And that was the kind of consistent message from people that were in the market. All people want to care about is just to get the biggest bang for the buck, and get the highest possible. And I was like, no, I am not that person, and there are more people like me. So one of the things that kind of is fundamental to 1906 is we create products for ourselves. Like if we're not going to take it, why we can't sell it? And, it was really challenging the first year and a half, because look, we could have made, for instance, we were the first 5 milligram product, and that was considered low dose on the market. And I remember everybody saying, when are you going to come out with your 10 milligram product? And we were like, we're not going to, because guess what's going to happen if I came out with a 10 milligram bliss or sleep or chill or whatever early on. First thing that would happen is dispensaries would have dropped our 5 milligram product, and they said,
Mm.
everybody wants 10 milligrams. And then guess what? Who gets screwed in that? Consumers, because now all they have is a 10 milligram product that the dispensaries are going to get. So we stuck to our guns, and we stuck to our conviction early on. That came at a heavy price. Like we could have made more revenue, for instance, but we and thankfully we had investors and capital that was patient capital that allowed us to be true to our North Star: functional cannabis, low dose, controlled dose that deliver a specific effect. And yes, it meant that we didn't make as much revenue as we could have early on, but that's what it takes to create a category.
All right, I want to circle back to the spirit that just came out and I believe just sold out promptly. Peter, if you could tell me how successful that first run went, how quickly did it sell? And one of my favorite things is with the bottle, it gives you the recipe of like 4, 5, 6 different cocktails. So you don't even have to think about it. And one thing I forgot is the espresso martini option that is right there on the website. That is one I'm going down to tonight. That is a great call. So again, a two-parter. How successful was that first run? And talk about some of those different cocktail options.
Yeah, look, I am so grateful, Dave and Lee, to all the fans of 1906. So we launched our bottle a week ago on September 19th. Our first production run was 7,800 bottles, which we thought was going to last, at least 6-8 weeks. We sold out in the first day. By end of day
Oh,
Friday, we were out of stock, and it was like,
I
oh
just
my
got
god.
chills.
So
7,800 bottles.
In
Like
one
that.
day, not even one
That's
week, one
remarkable. Okay,
day.
continue. We're blown away,
yeah,
but continue
Oh, yeah,
and talk about
congrats.
some of those extensions for cocktails.
so we're in production next week. We'll be shipping out again in a couple weeks. So thank you all for your patience. If you got your bottle kind of on the first day, you're one of the lucky few, or not few, but one of the lucky 7,800. And then the others will be restocking in a matter of a couple of weeks. As part of that, we've launched New Jersey, so we're now available in New Jersey liquor stores as well. I think in the first week we've opened up almost 100 liquor store doors in the first week as well, which is like also like, whoa, wow, that's pretty. And I'm a Jersey boy. I grew up in New Jersey, so my mom is happy that she'll be able to go to the liquor store and find 1906 there now.
I love that our parents are drinking it. So it's 1906. It is 200 milligrams and also 200 milligrams of CBG, which is a very wonderful additive. And these are the off duty. I will be taking these to the football games, well, I'm flying to LA on Monday. This is how I will survive that flight. Peter Barsoom, the website is 1906.shop. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate your brand. It is perfection. Kudos, sir.
Yes, thank you so
Well,
much for being here.
oh, thank you so much. Really, you have created a great platform. I'm honored to be a guest on the show with folks like John Halper, who've been leading this transformation of the market. So um, appreciate all that you do.
Oh,
See you in New
thank
York
you.
soon, my friend. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.